Welcome back. We're talking to Billy Mann and Benton James from Proof of Concept. For an artist who is looking to get started on TikTok, what are some foundational things that they can do to be effective and get in there?
I would go back to the same piece of how do you be yourself, have an original narrative? What do you stand for? The consistency of your point of view. People like to count on the consistency of an artist. So if you think of your favorite artist, like I'm a huge Sting fan, and I know one of the reasons that I love Sting is because I watched his evolution being a little kid and following the Police and him going solo. And there was a musical journey that he was taking, and he took me on it with him. And even through genre shifts and discovering jazz and soul and R&B and returning to his rock roots, just his sensibility as an artist was always the through line. And I can count on him for that. I can count on him for lyrical depth or for charitable components. So there's mission in his music too. And that's one example, but you could use that example with Drake, who's taken his fans on a journey, or Pink, who has taken her fans on her journey into becoming a family person and being a working mom. I think those stories goes back to what Benton was saying before, is that it's the stories that you want to believe in. And I think when you approach TikTok from a place that's clear and the story is clear and what you stand for is clear, I wouldn't veer too far off that track once you see something connect. And I watched it with Charli D'Amelio. Didn't do anything different when she started, really, to a lot of what she does now, which is in her bathroom or in her house somewhere wearing a hoodie and just being a great dancer and engaging and choosing records that were disruptive for a suburban girl to just be an amazing dancer, and people liked it and she stayed with it. And I think probably the area where I would say that a lot of artists suffer is when they try 5 different things and they get frustrated because it's not connecting. You just have to keep going, and you have to keep pushing yourself to be more interesting in the way that you deliver whatever your message is. And what I would say, and I want Benton, I want you to comment, because I do want to follow up with this with something that I think is important for people to take note of. But Benton, I want you to add to this.
I mean, I think for me, there's like something that we've always kind of kept as a mantra, and it's the ability to fail. I think, you touched on it at the end. It's like, we work with Kato on the track, who, to be honest, I think is probably one of the most consistent social media users. And when things weren't working for him, he just didn't stop. He would fail, he would learn, and he would do it again. And I think Billy hits the nail on the head. It's like someone does it a few times, it didn't really work out for him, and the just a complete stop, because they haven't become, one of the 1% in the space, is like, it's really a flawed way of thinking, and it shows a lack of discipline. And I think, Kato, and I know he'll give me a little bit of ribbing for this later, but he didn't want to do TikTok. He was like against it, and he just didn't really understand the site or the app. And he got on it, he spent a couple weeks with it, and then he started posting, and then he's had success on that app for small follower number. He continues to have things go viral. The same with Instagram. And it's really because he stays consistent and posts on this day and posts on this day and learns something from it and then does it again. And a lot of people want to know the secret to, his sauce. And it's really a simple sauce. He just keeps making it over and over, and then gets it to perfection. And it's really built something special for him. And I really think it's fail, learn, and then fail again until you're successful. And that's,
I'm looking at Blackbox TikTok. He wasn't on TikTok until the first post, I think, was April 1st or around there. So it's been 2.5 months, and he was never on TikTok. And he has 21.2 thousand followers, which for a neoclassical pianist on TikTok, that's that's an outrageous, we didn't pay for that. That's him putting in the work, telling his story. So I think it can be frustrating when people feel like it's not connecting, but it's a little bit like, sometimes you can't say it's everybody's fault. Sometimes it's just you, it's not them. And maybe you need to rethink how are my songs really that good? Am I that good? Is this my strength? Am I being true to myself? Which, by the way, is a harder conversation because a lot of people are even unknowingly derivative of somebody that they just like and they're trying to emulate. And when given the choice, if you have millions and millions of choices between the artist that you know and taking a bet on someone who sounds a lot like the artist you already know, you're going to stick with what works for you. So that's part of the iterative nature of it.
So you've touched on some ground level pointers as well as some of the more philosophical. So maybe we can touch on a little bit more of the logistical. So what are some of the other key ingredients that you think that help to make a content piece work really well on TikTok? For instance, song choice or sound quality, creative execution, that kind of thing.
When I think about that, I think that we live in a time, and it's funny because I was on a conversation a little bit like this and someone asked a question like that, and people who are a little older immediately want to go and give a very deep answer that's got a lot of detail and it feels like it's really powerful and has a point that someone didn't think of. And the reality is the stuff that really works is raw and unfiltered and looks terrible and is shot in like the dark. And, I think, for all the people who want to talk about like positioning of cameras and all of those things, I think people miss the opportunity to just put content out and like not overthink it. And I know it's probably honestly not the answer you're looking for, but there's been so many times when I sat in a conversation like this and someone was talking about lighting and this and that. And, you want to choose a song that's trending and all those things sound good, but like, honestly, raw authenticity to me is singing across it, because as I swipe through things, something that hits me, in the mouth is something that's talented and something that doesn't look shiny and bright like everything else, something that looks like it's like an uncut gem. And I think for so many people who are trying to look like the perfect, cleanest, most relevant way, I think the things that are celebrated the most are the rawest and the most authentic.
Totally. I mean, I've worked with Alex Iono since he was a teenager, and he went on YouTube and invented the mashup. But he invented the mashup and he had a setup of a laptop, little keyboard, couple of KRK speakers in the living room at a little apartment where he lived with his family. And he just showed up with it every week, and he was consistent. And when people saw it, they felt a sense of discovery. But on a practical basis, because I don't want to lose sight of that, because I think that's true. And sometimes there's somebody like singing from the back of a car, and that's what they do on their way to school every day. And that's something that's just raw and real. But I think it's also important to say to someone who's looking, how do I catch that algorithmic wave? Some of it is just looking at what's trending. Look at the songs that are trending, pay attention to it. And sometimes look at the songs that are just on the way up, depending on the kind of talent it is. This is more for somebody who just is trying to build an audience. But it's just key to be entertaining and to know that the people that are watching are literally ruthless, and they should be ruthless, because they're just like, I like it. I like it. I hate it. I hate it. I like it. I like it. Ooh, I really like this. Let me look at more of this. And that is a sense of control. And I actually would say part of the reason why we've had this explosive growth on TikTok is because during pandemic, we were all stuck at home and kids were all stuck at home. So you had a sense of control in a very controlled, almost oppressive environment where no one could leave their homes. But you could leave down the portal of this platform and feel like you had some control. You could choose whatever you wanted on the menu in a basically living lives without any choices. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out as the world reopens, and what people feel when they look at other people in person again, even just what we're doing now.